In today's chilling story, we'll dive into one of the most infamous supernatural events in American history, the Amityville Horror. A story so filled with mystery and horror, it has captivated millions around the world for decades. Was the haunting experience by the Lutz family in their Long Island home real, or was it all an elaborate hoax? Let's uncover the chilling details of the Amityville Horror, a tale that has left people questioning the line between reality and the supernatural. Before the Lutz family ever set foot in the infamous house at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, it was a site of a horrific mass murder. On November 13, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. brutally murdered his entire family while they slept. The victims were his parents, Ronald Sr. and Louise DeFeo, and his four younger siblings, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew. Each of them was shot execution style with a .35 caliber rifle. The murders shocked the small town of Amityville, and DeFeo was quickly arrested and charged with the killings. He claimed at first that he had been coerced into the crime by a mysterious figure, but later admitted to carrying out the murders on his own. He was convicted and sentenced to 6 consecutive 25 to life prison terms. Despite DeFeo's conviction, questions linger about the exact motives behind the murders. Some speculated that the house itself, which had once belonged to a wealthy family, was somehow cursed or imbued with dark energy, influencing DeFeo's actions. But for the time being, the home stood empty, its horrific history forgotten by most, until the next chapter of its dark story began. In December 1975, just over a year after the murders, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy, moved into the DeFeo family's former home. The Lutz family was initially drawn to the house due to its large size and its relatively low price. Unaware of the gruesome murders that had taken place there, they were eager to start a new chapter in their lives. However, their excitement soon turned to terror. Shortly after moving in, the family began experiencing strange and frightening occurrences. At first, it seemed like minor inconveniences, a few odd noises here and there, and strange feelings of unease. But these occurrences quickly escalated into full-blown paranormal activity. The Lutzes began hearing disembodied voices, seeing strange green slime oozing from the walls, and witnessing furniture move on its own. As the days wore on, the family situation grew more and more bizarre. George Lutz, who had been a rational man, started feeling an overwhelming sense of anger and unease. His behavior became increasingly erratic, and he began to feel a strong presence in the house, one that seemed to be watching him at all times. He also reported waking up at 3:15 a.m., the exact time the DeFeo murders were believed to have taken place, and experiencing violent, strange visions. Meanwhile, Kathy Lutz began to experience vivid and disturbing dreams, some of which seemed to predict events that would unfold later in the story. The children, too, were affected by the dark energy in the house. They reported seeing ghostly figures and experiencing terrifying hallucinations. Soon, the family could no longer deny the terrifying reality of their situation. They contacted paranormal investigators and sought help from priests to cleanse the house of its supposed demonic presence. In January 1976, the Lutz family reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, renowned paranormal investigators and demonologists, to help them understand the strange events happening in their home. The Warrens were already famous for their involvement in high-profile cases, including the haunting of the Perron family, which later inspired the Conjuring films. The Warrens visited the Amityville house and quickly became convinced that the Lutz family was being affected by a malevolent force. According to the Warrens, the house was haunted by the spirits of the DeFeo family, who were allegedly trapped in the house, unable to move on. They also believed that there was a demonic presence within the house, something far more sinister than just vengeful spirits. The Warrens claimed to have witnessed strange phenomena during their investigation, including furniture moving on its own doors slamming shut, and even the apparent manifestation of an apparition. They recorded strange sounds and images, including one photograph that showed what appeared to be a ghostly figure with glowing eyes. Despite their findings, the Warrens never provided concrete evidence of the supernatural forces they claimed to have encountered. But their involvement in the case helped propel the story of the Amityville Horror into the public eye. After just 28 days in the house, the Lutz family abruptly fled the property, terrified by the ongoing paranormal activity. They left behind most of their belongings, abandoning the house without ever returning. Their departure only fueled the media frenzy surrounding the Amityville Horror, and the story quickly spread across the country. The Lutzes' experience was recounted in the Amityville Horror, a book written by J. Anson, which was published in 1977. The book became a bestseller and was later adapted into a movie in 1979, solidifying the story as one of the most famous ghost stories in American history. The film's success only fueled the public's fascination with the Amityville Horror, and soon after, there were several sequels, documentaries, and reboots. However, over the years, the Lutz family story began to unravel. Skeptics and journalists began questioning the validity of their claims. Some suggested that the Lutzes had fabricated the entire story to make money from book deals and movie rights. The family's financial troubles before the move into the house were well documented, and many speculated that they had invented the haunting as a way to escape their financial difficulties. In 1979, George Lutz admitted in an interview that some of the events described in the Amityville Horror book were exaggerated or embellished for dramatic effect. However, he maintained that there were real paranormal events that occurred during their time in the house. Kathy Lutz also expressed similar sentiments, though she never fully recanted the family's experiences. The question of whether the Amityville Horror was a true haunting or a carefully orchestrated hoax has sparked intense debate for years. On one hand, there are those who believe that the Lutz family's experiences were genuine and that the house was, indeed, haunted by the spirits of the DeFeo family or even a demonic presence. The numerous strange occurrences, including the Lutzes' unexplained physical and emotional reactions, had convinced some that something paranormal truly happened in that house. On the other hand, many skeptics argue that the entire story was a hoax. They point to inconsistencies in the Lutzes' accounts, the lack of physical evidence to support their claims, and the fact that many of the events were exaggerated or fabricated for dramatic effect. Critics also note that the Lutz family's financial situation at the time provided a strong incentive to concoct a sensational story. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Some experts argue that the Lutz family could have genuinely experienced unusual phenomena, but that the story was later embellished for publicity and profit. Others believe that the psychological effect of living in a house where a gruesome murder occurred could have caused the family to become hypersensitive to their surroundings, interpreting ordinary events as supernatural. The Amityville Horror remains one of the most enduring and controversial true crime stories of all time. Was the house truly haunted by malevolent spirits, or was it all a carefully crafted hoax? The answers may never be fully known, and the case will likely continue to be the subject of speculation and debate for years to come. For some, the story of the Amityville Horror is a chilling reminder that not all dark forces are explained by science, while for others, it's a classic case of exploitation in the world of true crime and supernatural fame. Whatever the truth may be, the story of the Amityville Horror has left an indelible mark on popular culture and the world of paranormal investigation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most mysterious and terrifying true crime stories of all time. Don't forget to subscribe to The Hidden Truth, true crime story for more gripping cases. And remember, sometimes the truth is far stranger than fiction.